Thank you, dear Ulf, for having me here. And thank you for making me feel at home. And I think it's not only my impression. I'm quite sure that it's one of the things we are in a common position. We face the same threats and bring similar answers. And after today's talks, it's even more clear than ever before. This is, of course, not the first time, but today I feel it really strongly that the Nordic, Baltic format plus Poland, we have really, it's not an exaggeration, common position, in fact, in all details when it comes to security, our approach to Russia, Ukraine, and our active presence in NATO, when it comes to transatlantic relations, etc., etc. This is something rare and very precious. I mean, to have such a visible solidarity and common way of thinking. We want to act together. It's not just a slogan. And we know today better than ever before that together you are much stronger. And strength, this is what we need today. Also, this readiness to demonstrate that we are determined and ready to do everything we can as a group, as a format, but also as a EU, as a NATO, to prevent ourselves from the highest risks, which is, of course, the Russian aggressive policy. All our discussions today are focused on one fundamental issue, the security of our continent and of our region. The threat we are facing is growing, banal, but still really important. And it is the Ukrainians who, by resisting Russia, are making the rest of us safer. And the scenario for a catastrophe less likely. We have to be aware, and our group is aware of this, that our support to Ukraine is, in fact, it is something also very egoistic, I mean, very rational, very pragmatic. It's not only because of values, not only because we want to support the independence and the right for freedom, etc., for our Ukrainian friends, but it is also important because of our individual and European interest. Independent Ukraine means safer Poland, safer Sweden, Norway, Europe, and the whole West. And this is why we cannot fail in our support for Ukraine. It must be clear, if Ukraine loses, we all lose. Today I will warn everyone against the illusion that agreeing to Russian conditions of a ceasefire, such as neutral Ukraine, demilitarized, accepting the hitherto annexation of Ukrainian territory, would stabilize the situation in the whole region and prevent us from the threat of World War III. Quite the opposite. Our capitulation or lack of support for Ukraine, this is the obvious way to deepen the crisis and threat and risk for all of us. I will call on colleagues in the EU, also during the Polish presidency. We will start our rotating presidency in January, to increase our joint efforts aimed at supporting Ukraine militarily, financially, and politically. We are at the forefront of EU sanctions against Russia and Belarus. We are pushing for seizing Russian frozen assets. Our countries are united when it comes to tackling hybrid attacks, including at our borders. In Poland, this is something very visible and painful. the activities of the Shadow Fleet in the Baltic Sea, working to prevent disinformation and enhancing the resilience of societies. The Baltic Sea region has become an arena of far-reaching geopolitical changes. The war has entirely transformed the reality of our region and the whole Europe. Nordic and Baltic countries are our closest partners and allies, especially in the context of defense and security. When it comes to our cooperation in the field of defense, armaments, Poland, Sweden, Finland, Norway, we all have a long and good tradition of our cooperation. We share the assessment of the security situation, including concern for critical infrastructure and strategic resources along the Baltic Sea. We need new tools and ambitious means to counter threats. This is why I propose today to create a Baltic Sea policing mission in the Baltic Sea. I am really happy that my colleagues found it interesting, and we will continue our work on some details, but I have no doubts that also because of our plans to invest more on the Baltic Sea, for example, our Polish energy security is really connected to the Baltic Sea. We have in our plans a huge investment in offshore wind farms, for example. I think I don't have to explain here in Sweden how important also for our energy security is security in general on the sea and in our region. Security, resilience, and Ukraine will remain our priorities also during the Polish presidency, as I said, in the Council of the EU as of the 1st January 2025. And I know that I will be able to count on the support of all colleagues here to bring this agenda forward. Nobody understands better the dire and complex situation of our region than we do. And nobody has better solutions to these challenges. It is not just a cliché. Our deepened cooperation and coordination is indeed key and should be continued. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Donald.